Ruling a country is never simple, but for some nations, the task borders on impossible. Holding together people, resources, and identities that frequently tug in different directions is what leadership is all about. It goes beyond simply enacting laws and managing organizations. Even the most resolute leaders may encounter significant obstacles due to geography, history, culture, and economy. In these countries, instability is a persistent issue rather than a short-term issue. Some nations appear nearly built to defy government, from isolated communities caused by mountainous geography to long-standing tribal rivalries, to the curse of natural resource wealth that feeds corruption and war. Their problems have only become worse over decades of economic collapse, civil conflicts, natural calamities, and international involvement. In addition to political acumen, leaders of these states must possess an almost superhuman capacity for multifaceted crisis management. In this video, we'll watch 7 of the most difficult nations to govern, each with its own set of difficulties that make achieving stable governance an enormous undertaking. These countries serve as a reminder of how brittle states may be and how even the strongest leaders are frequently put to the ultimate test. Let's watch. 1. The Graveyard of Empires, Afghanistan. Afghanistan has a reputation for being one of the most difficult countries to rule. Its rocky mountains, remote valleys, and little infrastructure make logistics extremely difficult. Foreign powers have attempted to impose rule for centuries, but have encountered strong opposition, ranging from the British Empire to the Soviet Union and the United States. The people of Afghanistan are extremely tribal, and they frequently have stronger allegiances to local leaders than to the national government. Unity is made more difficult by the ethnic differences between Pashtuns, Tajiks, Hazaras, and Uzbeks. A fragile state has been brought about by persistent insurgencies, weak institutions, and dependency on foreign help. The Taliban's comeback to power serves as an example of the tenacity of grassroots movements, as well as the challenge of bringing a divided country together. 2. Somalia, a stability-deficient nation. Somalia is frequently characterized as the quintessential example of a failed state. The nation has suffered from starvation, terrorism, piracy, and civil war since the fall of its central authority in 1991. Clan rivalries and shoddy institutions frequently cause attempts to establish national authority to fail. In many areas, the insurgent organization Al-Shabaab still maintains authority, making it challenging for the Mogadishu central government to impose the law or deliver essential services. Somalia's fragmented character is highlighted by the fact that areas like Somaliland and Puntland function with differing levels of autonomy. In addition to political unrest, Somalia frequently experiences humanitarian crises, including food shortages, droughts, and displacement that put millions at risk. While international aid is beneficial, it also encourages dependency, which hinders sustained growth. 3. Iraq, a divided country, rich in oil and riven by sectarian strife. Iraq is a country in the center of the Middle East. Ethnic and religious divisions have weakened governance for decades. Conflicts over authority, resources, and autonomy are common among the Sunni, Shia, and Kurdish communities. Although Saddam Hussein's administration repressed dissent, years of anarchy were unleashed after his overthrow in 2003. The emergence of ISIS demonstrated the weakness of Iraq's political systems when vast tracts of land were taken over by militants. Even though Iraq reclaimed a large portion of its territory, unrest persists. The economy is vulnerable because to corruption, inadequate infrastructure, and dependence on oil revenue. Foreign interference, especially from the United States and Iran, has hampered efforts to establish a functioning democracy because their conflicting interests exacerbate political stagnation. 4. Yemen, the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. It is understandable why it is practically impossible to rule Yemen, which the UN has called the location of the worst humanitarian disaster in the world. Since 2014, when Houthi rebels took over major parts of Yemen and drove the government into exile, the country has been engulfed in civil war. In addition to destroying infrastructure, the battle has resulted in a dire humanitarian crisis, with millions of people suffering from malnutrition, disease epidemics, and a lack of access to healthcare. Regional powers like Saudi Arabia and Iran have turned the country into a battlefield as competing factions, such as members of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, compete for dominance. Yemen is also difficult from a geographic standpoint. Its rocky mountains and arid landscape make both military operations and government very challenging. The situation is made worse by poverty and water scarcity. Few presidents in history have had to deal with conflict, humanitarian crisis, and outside intervention all at once while leading Yemen. 5. North Korea, an absolute control system. Given that the Kim dynasty has had strict control over the country for many years, North Korea might not initially appear to be hard to rule. However, maintaining such total control in a nation beset by poverty, isolation, and mounting outside pressure is challenging. Due to severe sanctions, North Korea's economy is mostly isolated from the world market. There are frequent food shortages, and residents are closely monitored. The government makes significant investments in military might and propaganda to hold on to power, but there are flaws underneath. To keep the economy afloat while satisfying elites, stifling opposition, and fending off outside influence is a delicate balancing act for North Korean officials. Even when common people suffer, the regime must continue to project an image of strength in order to survive. 6. Haiti, a crisis. Troubled nation. Due to its difficulties, Haiti is among the most difficult nations in the Western Hemisphere to manage. The country has experienced severe poverty, natural calamities, and recurrent political unrest. Its infrastructure is still lacking, corruption is pervasive, and its institutions are weak. The 2010 earthquake caused long-lasting destruction and claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. The suffering has only gotten worse due to a continuing gasoline crisis and further hurricanes. Political killings, like as the 2021 murder of President Jovenel Moïse, demonstrate how precarious Haiti's government is. In an attempt to stabilize Haiti, foreign intervention has frequently failed, leading to dependency and animosity. 7. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, abundant land, never-ending battles. The Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC) is a paradox because, despite having some of the world's most abundant natural resources, its living standards are among the lowest. This prosperity has turned into a scourge that feeds exploitation, armed strife, and corruption. It is quite challenging to rule the country because of its enormous size and inadequate infrastructure. Resource-rich areas are dominated by rebel groups who make money off of minerals like coltan and cobalt, which are vital to contemporary technology. These resources frequently finance conflict rather than prosperity. Conclusion: it is evident from examining these countries, Afghanistan, Somalia, Iraq, Yemen, North Korea, Haiti, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, that governance is more complex than just exercising power. It involves negotiating complexities of location, history, conflict, and survival that push the boundaries of leadership. Tribal divisions, unstable economy, foreign meddling, or natural calamities that frequently reverse development are just a few of the challenges that each of these nations faces. Let us know in the comments what you think about the hardest country to rule on Earth, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more captivating content on our YouTube channel.